Let's begin.
I am the one and only MSJ. You can call me Max for short, and welcome to the 31 Days of Fright horror movie project, Year 8. And today's movie is the remake of Suspiria. And before I tell you what I thought when the final credit rolled upon the screen was, please click subscribe, share, like, comment what you think about this movie and any other movies I've been doing this month, because I want to know. And please click the bell to stay notified for any future videos when they become live, and stay up to date on my videos, because I have a lot of good movies still planned for this month and a lot of content in the future. So when the final credit rolled upon the screen, my initial thought was I really love this movie. So far this month has been kind of half. Like, I've had some cheesiness with Dire Wolf, I've had some promise with the Hellraiser movies, but they haven't quite delivered on the horror factor on those. And plus, I've had like almost true well-rounded horror with Into the Tall Grass, yesterday's video. But this one, to me, is the most well-rounded horror film so far this month. I have a couple more that will take the top prize, but this one so far this month is my favorite. Just so far. I have a personal favorite later on in the month. But this one is just shot beautifully. The visuals, the acting, just it all the way around is actually really good. And this one has some really intense moments in this movie, because it basically follows Dakota Johnson. She is from the U.S. and she goes over to Berlin to this prestigious dance academy in the 1970s, and it's all being run by a bunch of witches. And just some of the scenes that when the witches kind of really show how strong they are, and it's really intense, and I really liked it because I talked about when I talked about Hatchet movies, when I talked about how CGI is king nowadays, and I love practical effects, but there's just some things CGI can do that practicals can't do. Is that kind of makes it a little bit more realistic and more intense, and that's probably, and when it's used in small doses, like in Suspiria, really enhances and really makes it feel like the CGI can be used for good. So everyone in this movie is really good. Dakota Johnson, she will always be, for me, will be familiar with this movie, not the 50 Shades of Grey movies. Tilda Swinton, she's pretty good in everything I've seen her in so far. I think I really liked her in Snowpiercer, and of course Doctor Strange as well. But I think I really liked her in this as well. So just like I mentioned, the imagery in this movie can be really intense, especially when this particular scene where Dakota Johnson is auditioning to be the lead role. She kind of forcefully, unintentionally takes the lead role from this one who is basically like accusing this whole place to be run by witches, and it kind of comes back to haunt her in a way, because as Dakota Johnson is auditioning, her movement and her energy and stuff like that is being used against this the former lead of this show, and she is being twisted and contorted. That's why I mentioned, like, CGI can be used for good. And in this scene, yes, there is probably some contorting that is truly her body being able to be manipulated in a certain way, but just like kind of the bones moving and popping out of place, that's obviously CGI, and that's really done really well to really show that, like, her body is being mangled. And so that's I do not really want to give much away. The ending is so intense. I could not look away. I would just found this movie to be really, really fun. And like I said, this is the first well-rounded horror movie this month that I really, really thought was fun to watch. That really kind of captured the horror fright vibe that I've been wanting to go for this month. So, I mean, no, I do have some hokiness. I love cheesy B movies, but sometimes you just need just a really straight up horror film like Suspiria. So, I have a rating scale. 1 being run-of-the-mill horror, 2 best watch with a group, 3 it's more than average horror but adds nothing new to the horror genre, 4 helps move the horror genre forward, and 5 being a horror classic. This one was really tough for me to kind of really classify, and I don't really give this one out too much, but I say this is a 4. This definitely helps move the horror genre forward in a way where it can, like, it's a remake, which I think was really good, so that kind of helps kind of make the remake name kind of a little bit more solid. You know, it kind of helps. I know you can never beat the original. Even though I've never seen it, it's just, you just can't beat that, in my opinion. So I'll reserve what I really truly think about it when I finally get to see it. But I'm just going to leave it as that. Like, the original is just, you know, we wouldn't have this without the original. So, how it helps move the genre forward, besides the helping solidify the remake name, is that it's a long movie. It's it's like a 2.5 hour horror film, and I really, really liked about it. And it just slowly builds up to this big, intense thing at the end, and that's what, like, I've been having kind of like a theme these last few movies with Hellraiser, Hellseeker, Into the Tall Grass, and Suspiria, where these 3 movies have such promise to build up to something truly, truly intense. Hellseeker didn't quite deliver on it, even though it was trying its best to do it. Into the Tall Grass managed to do it a little bit, but this one did it perfectly. I think it kind of just kept building and building and building and building to this final big confrontation at the end, and it was just awesome. So that's really all I gotta say about Suspiria. I cannot wait to. This one was so much fun. I've seen this movie before, and I may actually watch it just before I go to bed or something, but just because it's really, really good. So that's really all I gotta say. As always, I am the one and only MSJ, Max for short. Once again, please click subscribe. Hit the bell to stay notified for any future videos and any future content that I will be creating this month, and as well as down the line. And goodbye.